Welcome, everyone. I'm Jim Tolles. I'm a spiritual teacher. I blog regularly at spiritualawakeningprocess.com. And today I want to talk about a really interesting topic of communal care versus self-care. Self-care has gotten very popular, and I've definitely been a proponent of it and am a proponent of it. And I want to make an immediate distinction between self-care and inner work. Self-care are things like, let's say, meditation or journaling or yoga or lots of different things where we allow ourselves to rest and to be replenished and rejuvenated and supported more in our physical, mental, and emotional states. They do not resolve issues. That's not the point when we're using a lot of these things. And some of those tools can be used for both inner work and self-care. But the inner work resolves the issue. The inner work will resolve, let's say, the upset that you have when your father is critiquing your latest project, right? So you get upset, and then you go do your work or your self-care to calm down, and then you're like, okay, I'm back in even keel. Then he critiques something else of your work, and then you're back up again, right? And so this is a loop that a lot of people are stuck in, is this constant need to self-care to try and make themselves feel better without resolving issues. Inner work resolves the issue. So the next time dad critiques whatever you did wrong and repainting the house, you don't get upset. And then there's no self-care to help with that. That's a big distinction, and it matters. Because a lot of people have come to me through the years and it's like, oh, I keep doing this, I keep meditating. It's like, yes, but you're not resolving the issue. So that's an important distinction to make here. Additionally, with self-care, along with being a good thing to help just keep ourselves balanced without having a trigger, we have put so much burden on the individual in this society. Too much. We ask too much of individual people to do. And that's including with self-care, because self-care is kind of trying to help us manage all these other things that we're trying to do too. That's too much. And this hyper-individualism of our culture is doing this in all sorts of interesting ways, including all the companies that are instituting wellness programs, which is just more things that the individual has to do for their self-care. And these organizations, businesses, probably governments are doing it now. It's like, look, we're being good. We're trying to, also schools and educational institutions are saying, look, we're giving them tools to go do more. In 2023, I've heard the word burnout used by just about everyone in just about every industry. What is burnout? It's one person doing too much. And that's going to cause more and more breakdowns of all kinds, emotional, physical, breakdowns of organizational structure, by the way, because people are just not going to want to work there. I mean, that's one of the reasons that I think a lot of people are going towards remote working, which is worse, because people are basically going to destroy a lot of their communal connections, which is where we go with this. That one of the important pieces, one of the most foundational pieces of our health is having healthy community around us on an in-person daily basis, not text messages, not emails and phone calls, although phone calls gets a little bit better, at least you can hear a voice. It's in-person, daily communal care. And one of the superpowers that we got to go straight to is healthy touch. Biologically, there's a response inside of us when we have healthy, consensual touch. The way we get uplifted is almost worth a 30-minute meditation, and we can be uplifted in a 30-second hug. It matters a lot. And there's tons of research that's getting put out there on a more and more regular basis says that being alone and being isolated in and of itself is worse than smoking 15 cigarettes a day. This is coming from the Surgeon General's report, 2023 report on the epidemic of loneliness and social isolation. Your longevity and life expectancy goes up by 50% if you have healthy community. Or if you don't, the likelihood of a stroke or heart attack goes up by something like 29% and 26%. Community matters a lot. This is not woo-woo nonsense. This is biological fact, and we need to come to terms with that. And we need to come to terms with that on the spiritual path as well, because along with how uplifting and supportive healthy community is, and I know a lot of people don't have healthy community. We've been around a lot of dysfunctional community, and that's a problem. But in addition to things like touch, things like whatever happens biologically that turns off our fight or flight system when we have other people looking after us so we can feel safe, along with that, on the spiritual path, doing this alone to unlearn your ego is one of the hardest or most impossible things you can do. We preference our beliefs. We like to believe what we already believe, and we like to reinforce what we already believe, which makes so many people's inner work, when they're doing it by themselves, effectively useless, at best. At worst, it can lead people into greater levels of delusion because they just want to repeat whatever they're believing built off of their core issues. Communal care on the spiritual path is huge. We need other people's insights. And again, it's about healthy community, and I know that's the rub in all this stuff because we're not seeing a lot of great healthy communities. There is so much dysfunction and dis-ease and ego unconsciousness, which just means that we're not focused on reality, that's hard. But it needs to be emphasized. It's one of the reasons why I do more and more with online communities. I also teach people how to be community builders. If anyone's interested in that, please leave a comment. Because there are some things an individual can and must do, like only you can do your inner work to go into places inside yourself. But there are other places where the community is far better equipped to support us, and biologically we're equipped to be social in that way, to have that support. And we need to start acknowledging that. And the studies, again, are becoming more and more clear that while community isn't a necessity in the sense of breathing, it is really close to those bottom level necessities. Eat, sleep, breathe, etc. We need each other. We need communal care. I'm going to have a lot to say about this topic in the coming months and years. I've seen what individuals can do by themselves. I've seen what I can do by myself. And there's a real hard upper limit to that. And people are doing too much. And self-care and inner work on your own, again, it's another to-do list that people don't have time for. In some respects, it's ineffective. In some respects, it's creating greater delusion or distress as people are trying to manage everything when there's so much that a community coming together can do for the individual. But ultimately, we're all going to have to start to change our thinking, to give up this ego delusion of the individual and what they can do all by themselves, and start to be more accepting to help and more offering to be of service in community, and to be willing to go through the difficulty that creating healthy communities can be, because it is a challenge when we haven't been taught this our whole lives. We've been taught how to be individuals. Now we need to learn how to be communities and to be healthy communities for our sake and for the sake of our society, and honestly for the sake of the environment around us. Please share this video with others. I think it's an important one. Please leave a comment if something in it resonated for you. Bye for now.